Usually, when you look at a seismograph, you expect some kind of warning before a major event, right?
Yeah, you want to see a few little tremors.
Exactly. You see a little spike on the paper, just letting you know the ground is about to shift. But sometimes that needle is just drawing a perfectly flat line for months.
And then, out of nowhere, the entire machine just shatters.
Yeah, and that is exactly what happened to the gaming world during the first week of June 2026, specifically centered around the Summer Game Fest.
It was wild. Just a total explosion.
It really was. So we have a massive stack of sources on the table today for you. We are pulling from official ArenaNet developer blogs, frantic MMO Discord and Reddit threads, deep dive technical breakdowns from IGN and Steam.
And some incredibly hype-filled reaction videos, right?
Oh yeah, shout out to YouTube channels like Legacy Gaming for those. Our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how a single game announcement, Guild Wars 3, went from a terrifying community rumor that a beloved studio was abandoning its players to a jaw-dropping cinematic reveal.
And then into an absolute panic over PC hardware requirements.
Yes. And finally, a masterclass in how a developer can actually respect a player's time. So, okay, let's unpack this.
The context of this announcement is really what makes it so explosive, I think. If we rewind just a few days before the June 5th reveal.
Just days, yeah.
All right. The Guild Wars community was living in this complete tinfoil hat era. There was agonizing silence from the studio, ArenaNet.
Absolute crickets.
For months. Players were surviving on nothing but dry, translated NCSoft shareholder meeting leaks, and like data mined hints from the recent Visions of Eternity expansion.
It was a total pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Like half of the community on Reddit and Discord was convinced a massive sequel announcement was imminent.
And the other half was terrified.
Exactly. Terrified that this unannounced project meant ArenaNet was just going to abandon the world of Tyria completely to make, I don't know, some unrelated sci-fi shooter.
The dread was palpable, because it had been a 14-year mainline entry drought since Guild Wars 2 launched.
Wait, 2012, right.
Yeah, back in 2012. So the underlying assumption was that if a third game did exist, it would be burdened with carrying forward 15 years of continuous narrative bloat.
Which is exhausting just to think about.
It is. No one was expecting a total chronological reset.
Right. So then the lights go down at Summer Game Fest, the Guild Wars 3 logo hits the screen, and they drop a trailer that completely subverts a decade of visual expectation.
There was a huge shock.
For years, veteran players, they've known the continent of Ore as this rotting, sunken, undead wasteland.
Right, the one that got raised from the ocean floor by an elder dragon.
Exactly, but the trailer didn't show that at all. It showed this lush, vibrant, breathtakingly primitive wilderness. They rewound the clock roughly 1,200 years into the past.
And by resetting the timeline to the ancient past, ArenaNet actively solves two of the most paralyzing problems that plague decade-old MMOs.
Narrative bloat and power scaling.
Bingo. They wiped out the entire convoluted Elder Dragon saga. When a game has been running for 15 years, the lore just becomes impenetrable.
Oh, totally. You log in, there are 50 non-player characters with exclamation points over their heads, and you have no idea who is fighting whom or why.
It's overwhelming.
It's like finding out the next Star Wars movie isn't a sequel to the sequels, but a pristine prequel set millennia before the Empire even existed.
That's a great way to put it. It wipes the slate clean.
And for a new player, or, for you listening right now, this is brilliant. You don't need a PhD in 15 years of franchise lore just to understand why you are fighting a specific boss. You can just jump in and play.
It establishes a fresh entry point for an entirely new generation of players. But it still gives veterans this historical playground they've only ever read about in dusty in-game text logs.
Right. The developers get to build a beautiful, thriving world instead of constantly managing a post-apocalyptic one.
Exactly. But the reason that Pristine Past looked so beautiful is exactly what triggered a totally different kind of shockwave through the player base.
Oh, the hardware wall.
Yeah. The second that trailer ended, the Steam page went live, and the casual MMO audience hit a massive hardware wall.
Because ArenaNet officially abandoned their heavily modified legacy proprietary engines.
Right. They built Guild Wars 3 entirely from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5.
Which means they're utilizing hyper-advanced lighting systems like Lumen, which, for those who don't know, calculates light bouncing off surfaces in real time.
And they're using micropolygon geometry systems like Nanite.
Nanite is wild because it basically allows the engine to render infinite cinematic quality detail on rocks and trees without completely melting your computer.
Assuming your computer meets a very high baseline.
Right, a massive if there. And that baseline dropped on Steam, causing instant panic. The game demands an RTX 2060 graphics card and 16 gigabytes of RAM just to be playable.
Just for the minimum requirements. And in the MMO space, players are deeply accustomed to running games on 10-year-old laptops.
Oh yeah, the potato PCs.
Exactly. Historically, MMOs use low-resolution textures and clever loading tricks, specifically to ensure the widest possible audience can play.
So demanding an RTX 2060 is a staggering baseline.
Massive portions of the older player base realized overnight that their current rigs were officially obsolete.
And it wasn't just PC players panicking either. The trailer revealed the game is launching simultaneously on PC and PlayStation 5.
But there was a glaring omission.
No green logo. They completely omitted the Xbox Series X and Series S.
Yep.
Wait, I have to say, this makes zero sense to me. They want a massive new console audience, so they're expanding to PlayStation, but they're actively ignoring the Xbox and cutting off their own legacy PC players. That feels like business suicide.
On paper, yeah, ignoring a major console base looks like a massive gamble. But the omission of the Xbox ecosystem comes down to two highly probable factors.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, there are industry rumors of a late 2023 strategic partnership between Sony Interactive Entertainment and ArenaNet's parent company, NCSoft.
Which might involve exclusivity or marketing deals.
Exactly.
Okay, a backroom marketing deal makes business sense. What's the second factor?
The second and more crucial factor is hardware architecture. Microsoft has a strict mandate that any game launching on their powerful Xbox Series X must have feature parity on the lower-spec Xbox Series S.
Meaning it must have the exact same gameplay features.
Right. And we need to break down why an MMO is so much harder on a processor than a normal game.
Let's do it.
In a single-player game, the computer controls all the enemies and predicts what happens next. It's highly choreographed. But in an MMO, the processor has to constantly track the random movements, spell calculations, and unique armor textures of 100 different real humans on screen at the exact same time.
Because you can't predict what 100 real humans are going to do in a massive city hub or a giant boss fight.
Precisely. The heavy CPU calculations and memory demands of an Unreal Engine 5 MMO create a massive bottleneck on lower-tier hardware.
Like the Series S.
Exactly. The Series S simply doesn't have the RAM. Think of RAM as the temporary closet space where the computer holds all those unique armor textures and lighting calculations.
It just doesn't have the closet space to handle the player density required here without severe compromises.
Right. So ArenaNet likely chose to omit the platform entirely, rather than cripple the game's performance ceiling just to fit onto the Series S.
Wow. And this shift to Unreal Engine 5 didn't just break older PCs and lock out the Xbox, it completely shattered how players actually move and fight in the game.
It really did.
When the gameplay footage dropped, it sparked this fierce debate on Reddit about what genre Guild Wars 3 even belongs to anymore.
The community heavily analyzed the footage frame by frame and immediately noticed the complete eradication of the traditional tab-targeting user interface.
Which is huge. For anyone who hasn't played an older MMO, tab targeting is that old-school system where you just press tab to click an enemy, your character locks on, and you basically just stand there pressing numbers on your keyboard while your attacks automatically home in on the target.
It feels a bit like playing a spreadsheet sometimes.
It really does. When players saw that was gone, they were terrified. They thought, oh no, is this going to be a punishing, stamina-gated Souls-like?
Referencing games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring.
Right, where every single dodge roll drains your energy and one wrong methodical move gets you killed instantly.
Yeah, ArenaNet studio head Colin Johansson actually had to jump in to clarify the system. He stated that the combat focuses heavily on the, quote, joy of movement and momentum.
I love that phrase, joy of movement.
It's very descriptive. They are taking systemic inspiration from highly kinetic, action-heavy titles like Monster Hunter and Black Desert, rather than the slow, methodical defense of a Souls game.
So it's about fluid combos and constant motion.
Exactly. And because they're launching on the PlayStation 5, the game has a controller-first design parity. You physically cannot comfortably map 30 different spells and skills to a standard gamepad.
Right, you'd run out of buttons immediately.
This forces a return to a skill collection system very similar to the original 2005 Guild Wars,
where you curate a limited deck of maybe 8 skills for any given encounter, rather than managing endless rows of hotbars on a keyboard.
Yes. The developers are streamlining the cognitive load of combat so the player can focus entirely on the physical space around them.
Makes sense.
And the marketing materials describe a system where your momentum transfers seamlessly between different modes of travel.
This is where it gets really interesting to me. It's like extreme parkour meets high fantasy. You can be running, transition directly into a wall run, leap off that wall into a glide, and then drop straight into a mounted sprint without ever losing your forward velocity.
It's incredibly fluid.
You are literally weaponizing your physical speed. Standing still to execute a static spell rotation is now mathematically suboptimal.
Which is a huge paradigm shift.
Huge. If you leap from an elevated cliff and deliver a downward strike, your momentum actually amplifies your damage. You become the projectile.
And this traversal system is anchored by one of the most brilliant pieces of ludonarrative integration we've seen in the genre.
The Seeker mount.
Yes, the Seeker. In the narrative, you play as a Veil Warden, an adventurer bonded to the ancient nature spirits of Ore.
And the trailer showed this massive, majestic, wolf-like spirit running alongside the player.
Every player is bonded to a Seeker, which acts as both a narrative tether to the magic of the continent and a physical, high-speed mount.
Think about how most MMOs handle mounts, you know? They are usually passive, hard-to-earn endgame rewards that you grind for weeks to unlock just so you can move slightly faster.
Right, they're a status symbol usually.
But Guild Wars 3 integrates the Spirit Companion directly into your core identity immediately. Frictionless, high-speed traversal is a foundational right from minute one, not a carrot dangled at the end of a 100-hour stick.
It's a massive quality of life improvement, but moving at high speeds through a pristine world sounds incredible.
Until you ask exactly when and where the player is moving.
Yes, that has ignited a fiery, highly academic civil war among the community's lore scholars.
A lore scholar civil war, I love it.
The chronological anomalies are a real historiographical puzzle. Colin Johansson explicitly stated 3 temporal anchors during his IGN Live presentation.
Okay, let's list them.
He said the game is set roughly 1,200 years before the original game, it happens just before the first Guild War breaks out, and it occurs just after a deposed god has fallen.
And the Reddit lore experts immediately pulled out their calculators and realized the math does not add up at all.
Not even close.
1,200 years before the original game puts us exactly in the year 130 BE, before the Exodus. But according to the established franchise texts, the tyrannical god of death, Doom, fell in 48 BE.
Right.
The god of secrets, Abaddon, fell in the year 0 AE, and the official first Guild War didn't happen until 100 AE.
The timelines are completely clashing. Players are realizing they aren't just playing a prequel, they are stepping into an entirely unrecorded, archaic era of Tyrian history.
Which is wild.
It is an epoch where the 6 human gods, Dwayna, Balthasar, Melandru, and the rest, are theoretically still physically present.
Wait, really? Like walking around?
Yes. They are walking directly among their worshippers in the capital city of Era.
That's insane. And because we are so far back in the timeline, the actual ethnography, the makeup of the playable races you can choose from, is drastically shifted.
Completely different roster.
We have confirmed playable humans, of course, because they are the colonizing force arriving from across the sea in this era. But we also have these massive bear-like humanoids called the lowland Codon.
And your personal favorite.
Yes, the ancestral Azura.
The visual shift with the Azura is striking. If you know the modern games, the Azura are known as these small, bald, subterranean geniuses who live in high-tech geometric cubes.
Little sci-fi gremlins.
Exactly. But the concept art for the ancestral Azura shows them living above ground, wielding primitive magic, with dreadlocks and thick fur.
Because they haven't been driven underground by monsters yet. They still need fur for solar protection on the surface. It's a gorgeous ecological detail.
It's brilliant world building.
But it comes with a massive casualty list. The plant-like Sylvari race literally do not exist yet. The magical seed that birthed them won't be planted for another 1,000 years.
And the feline, warmongering Char are a fiercely hostile, savage race in this era, making an alliance with human players impossible.
This is where I have to ask a pointed question. Are they really cutting out, arguably, the 2 most popular races in the franchise just to stick to strict historical accuracy? Aren't they risking massively alienating their most dedicated fans who have played Sylvari or Char for a decade?
It's an undeniable commercial risk, for sure. It forces a stark trade-off between fan service and narrative integrity.
It's a bold move.
Very bold. But by sticking to their guns, ArenaNet is demanding that players engage with the true ecological ancestors of this world.
They are actively choosing world-building authenticity over forcing some convoluted time travel paradox just to keep popular character models around.
Exactly. It requires the player to invest in a new reality, rather than just coasting on nostalgia.
And having a deep lore puzzle and kinetic momentum-based combat is fantastic, but in 2026, none of that matters if the business model is toxic.
That's the real make or break.
A live service game lives or dies based on one single factor: how it treats the player's wallet and their time. And this is where ArenaNet dropped the biggest bomb of the week.
It started with Colin Johansson's aggressively candid interview with IGN. He essentially went viral for openly attacking the modern gaming industry's monetization practices.
He did not hold back.
No, he stated explicitly that ArenaNet has no intention of keeping players hostage.
He completely tore into the concept of daily login metrics, where games give you tiny rewards just for turning the game on every single day to form a habit.
He attacked manufactured FOMO, the fear of missing out.
And he went after what he called masked subscriptions.
That was a huge statement.
By that, he meant premium battle passes, where you pay $10 a month for a track of rewards that disappear if you don't grind out enough hours to unlock them.
Guild Wars 3 is going to feature a pure buy-to-play model. You buy the box, and that's it.
Zero mandatory subscription fees, and absolutely zero premium battle passes.
It's a stark rejection of the predatory engagement loops that dominate the current market.
Totally.
They are betting entirely on the intrinsic joy of their combat and movement mechanics to retain their audience, rather than psychological manipulation.
I just marvel at the sheer respect for the player's time. It is incredibly rare to hear a massive studio head look at the camera and say, "Buy our game, play it as much as you want, take a break, go play other games, we aren't holding your time hostage."
That kind of goodwill is powerful.
Nay.
But announcing a numbered sequel usually triggers a very specific, very fatal logistical challenge in the MMORPG space.
Ah, the lame duck effect.
Yes. The moment you announce a sequel, the active population of the predecessor plummets. Players realize their long-term progression will soon be rendered obsolete.
Exactly. Why would you spend 3 months grinding for a shiny legendary sword today if you know the servers are going to be a ghost town tomorrow, and you can't take the sword with you to the new game?
But ArenaNet is actively countering this through an unprecedented ecosystem continuity strategy. They aren't abandoning Guild Wars 2.
Which is amazing. Following the conclusion of its current expansion, Guild Wars 2 is entering a dedicated 18-month polish phase.
And this isn't just a skeleton crew keeping the lights on in maintenance mode. They are doing massive engine upgrades.
They are implementing physically based rendering, or PBR, which changes how in-game light bounces off different materials, making metal look like real metal and leather look like real leather.
You don't spend thousands of development hours overhauling the lighting engine of a game you are sunsetting.
Right, and they are completely revamping the heavily criticized final battle with the Elder Dragon Zaitan from the original 2012 base game.
They are even adding a new world versus world map, which is essentially a massive days-long siege mode where hundreds of players fight over castles.
The true stroke of genius tying all of this together, though, is the introduction of Hall of Monuments 2.0.
Absolutely. This is a system that directly links your achievements in the old game to the new one.
By completing specific milestones across all eras of Guild Wars 2, players will unlock exclusive, high-prestige cosmetics and titles that will carry directly into Guild Wars 3 upon its release.
They've essentially solved the sequel problem.
They are turning a 14-year-old game into a playable waiting room for the new game. They are financially and psychologically incentivizing players to stay in the old game to build equity in the new one.
And you can see this working in real time.
Right now. There is a Summer Game Fest in-game event happening in Guild Wars 2. Players are flooding back in, grinding events in the ruined undead version of Ore to unlock a Guild Wars 3 logo t-shirt cosmetic.
They are literally doing historical tourism.
Over.
They are staring at the undead ruins while mapping out exactly how those coordinates are going to look in the pristine, ancient wilderness of the sequel.
It's a closed-loop ecosystem. They have managed to generate massive hype for a future product, while simultaneously revitalizing the concurrent player base of their legacy title.
It completely circumvents player attrition.
It's so smart. So whether you are already upgrading your PC to jump into this beta in fall 2027, or you are just insanely curious about where the gaming industry is heading, this announcement week proved that you can balance massive technical innovation with a deep respect for legacy.
They're fearlessly challenging the stagnation of the genre.
They really are. And it leaves you with a really provocative thought to chew on. If Guild Wars 3 actually succeeds with this model, 0 premium battle passes, 0 mandatory subscription fees, and a massive 1,200-year chronological reset that completely wipes out a decade of convoluted story baggage, it forces us to look around at the rest of the industry.
It really puts a spotlight on the others.
What other massive live service giants out there are sitting on 10 or 15 years of technical and narrative bloat, just waiting for the courage to pull the plug, hit rewind, and start completely over? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Tyria's past and gaming's future.
Keep exploring. You keep asking great questions.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.